everyone's enjoying their 4th of July weekend. I had a good one yesterday, and the party keeps going. Today we're talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and what's next. Overall, I definitely would say the movie was good. It was definitely it was a good film. It wasn't like an amazing film. It wasn't like the greatest film of all time, but it was a good film. It started out where when the movie started, they paid a tribute to the fallen Avengers, which was Iron Man, Black Widow, Vision, and they even paid a tribute to Captain America, which I thought was funny because he's not dead, he's just old. So, he's still alive, but I guess like nobody knows that he's old now, so to them, he's dead. But it started off in the school where Peter Parker was, and they got into it right out the gate, whereas as far as like answering questions from Avengers Endgame, as soon as the movie started, they let you know right out the gate that certain people who, they referred to the Thanos snap, they referred to it as being blipped out of existence, and they said that certain people that got blipped out of existence that were, nobody aged. That was something that everybody knew, that like nobody aged, like everybody kept, like everybody that that disappeared or like blipped, as they say, when they reemerged 5 years later, they still look exactly the same as they did, from when they disappeared. And obviously, people who didn't disappear, they aged 5 years. So they addressed that right out the gate. They were talking about how when some of their classmates came back, some other people were older. There's one guy who was talking about it. He said that his little brother is now 5 years. His little brother is 5 years older. He's bigger than him now. The entire cast of Spider-Man, they all disappeared. They all blipped out of existence during the Thanos snap. So when we see them, they all look exactly the same. And I read somewhere that the Sony producer said that was their choice. They basically like wiped out the entire cast because they didn't want to have to deal with those issues of certain people being older than others. So they bring back the cast from the previous Spider-Man film. They bring back the fat best friend. They bring back the emo Mary Jane. The Indian dude, I don't know the actor's name, but the Indian kid who was basically being a dick to Peter the entire movie, he's actually Flash Thompson. And that surprised me, not because of his ethnic background, but because Flash Thompson was always known as like a jock. He was always like this big, tall, like muscular dude who played football, which is why you could believe that he would bully Peter Parker because he was significantly bigger than him. But this Flash Thompson, he's kind of like shorter. It's like he's shorter than Peter. He's not stronger than anybody really. He's basically just a dick. Like his whole thing is he's just a dick to Peter the entire time. So I thought that was pretty funny. But like I said, I was never really invested in the Flash Thompson character anyway. So the changes to the character wasn't a big deal to me. But I do know that in certain iterations of Spider-Man, Flash Thompson becomes Agent Venom. And he wears like the Venom and the Black Spider suit. So I can't really see that on this kid. As long as the Spider-Man story progresses, I guess we'll we'll see how that goes. So as you've seen from the trailers, they're going to they're taking a school trip. They're going to like London or Europe, overseas, wherever the hell they were going. Before all that happens, like Parker is he's going to his school and he's doing like community service, like he's talking to the people, he's talking to the neighborhood, he's trying to keep people inspired, let them know that heroes are still here to save them, and they don't have to be worried. And Aunt May, she knows he's Spider-Man, so she's helping him, setting up the whole community outreach as far as like reaching out to people that were blipped out of existence and came back, and that was nice. Nick Fury ends up calling Spider-Man, and he sends him a voicemail, and he ghosts him a couple of times. With the exception of Tony and Pepper, basically the entire cast of Iron Man is now a part of the Spider-Man movies, seeing how like Iron Man's dead and he's no more. And they reference him throughout the entire film. Like they have like the homages to Tony Stark. Everybody's always talking about Tony Stark, and Peter's feeling the pressure. Like he feels like it's his job to take over, but he's not really ready to take over. Because he still wants to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He doesn't want to be like a worldwide Spider-Man or an Avenger. There was a clip in the trailer where he stopped a crime, and then he was talking to some police officer, and then one of the cops, they were like, "Oh, so you're the new Iron Man?" And then Peter's like, "I can't be the new Iron Man because I'm too busy trying to do your job." That scene actually wasn't in the movie. I was waiting for that, and it didn't happen. but c'est la vie. So pretty much like after that, so he ghosts Nick Fury. He doesn't want to have anything to do with Nick Fury because he said he's not ready to talk to Nick Fury yet. He just wants to go on his vacation, talk to Mary Jane, get her number, tell her that he likes her, and be done with it. So the entire cast, they fly to Europe. Spider-Man was dead set on not using his spider costume. He didn't even take it with him, but Aunt May packed it into his suitcase for him. And it's funny how like he spent so much time trying to keep Aunt May away from the Spider-Man thing that now she's like all in and she's just completely all about him being Spider-Man. She's not even concerned for like his safety or like his well-being. She's just like, yeah, just go out there and like kick some ass and like save the day. I mean, I guess it's good because you don't have to have like these awkward things of him trying to like ditch her or like dodge her, or like keep it a secret. Because sometimes like keeping it a secret, it can get annoying. But the fact that, I mean, she could have at least had a conversation with him where she was just like, Peter, I don't like you going out like that. It's like she didn't even do that. She was just like, here's your suit, see you later, peace. Her and Happy, Aunt May and Happy, they were actually getting a little comfortable with each other. So, Peter didn't like that, so they had to throw that in. Pretty typical. So he gets to Europe. They check in. He's worried about doing the Mary Jane thing, hanging out with Mary Jane, doing what he's supposed to do with Mary Jane. And then, when he goes to his room, Nick Fury's there, the scene we saw from the trailer. Nick Fury brings him in, and he tells him that, there's some stuff we need you to do. He's like, I need Spider-Man. And of course, Spider-Man's like, nah, I ain't really fucking with you. But, he eventually goes, he eventually, obviously he says yes, otherwise it wouldn't be a movie. Before that happens, when they first arrive, there was a water monster that was terrorizing, because they were in Venice, I believe. I think that was like the first stop they were in Venice. So they get to Venice, and then once they get to Venice, like this water monster like comes out of nowhere. So Parker, without his costume, he still has his web shooters because they're attached to his watch. He takes down the water monster, and then that's when you see Mysterio, which is the scene that we saw in the trailer. Mysterio shows up, him and Peter Parker together, they stop the water monster, Mysterio flies away, Parker goes back to his hotel, Nick Fury's waiting for him, he tells him like, hey, I need you to come with me. So he goes with him, he meets Mysterio because apparently Mysterio was recruited by Nick Fury, Maria Hill is always by Nick Fury's side, and the three of them hatch a plan, try to take down these elemental monsters. Spider-Man's like, nah, I'm not really trying to do that, I'm just here for vacation. Nick Fury says that he understands, and then he hijacks his trip. And he basically, like, because Nick Fury told him, I think he said he needed him to go to the Czech Republic, and Spider-Man was like, nah, I ain't feeling that, I just want to stay here and do what I do. So Nick Fury basically set up the itinerary for his class trip to go to the Czech Republic. So the entire cast ends up going to the class goes to the Czech Republic. So Spider-Man is now forced to help Nick Fury. They get to the Czech Republic, he's working with Mysterio, they have this whole conversation about how, what it means to be a hero, and then Nick Fury gives him the glasses. Tony Stark left him a pair of glasses that has an AI in it. It's called, it's called Ada, I forget what it was, but it stands for, Ada. It's Ito, something like that. Basically, like it stood. The acronym for the glasses was "Even Dead, I'm the Hero." So that was the name of the glasses that Tony left for. So Parker has like his own AI that's with him 24 hours a day, and he can talk to her. He almost used the glasses to blow up this guy that had a crush on Mary Jane that was talking her up. This was a kid who was 13 before the blip, so he's like 18 now, but he still has to be in school. So because he's older now and he's like buff and everything, he's trying to hit on Mary Jane because he likes it. Peter's trying to get used to the glasses, and then he teams up with Mysterio. They go to take on this fire elemental monster. They take on the fire monster. They defeat the fire monster, and then after they defeat the fire monster, a piece of the tech that the fire monster had. No, actually, no. It was a piece of tech that Mysterio had broken off during the battle with the fire monster. Mary Jane ends up, sticking around. Like she was nosy. She saw the whole fight take place, and as she saw the whole fight take place, she found the tech, and she took the tech with her, and kept it in her pocket. They defeat the fire monster, and then Nick Fury says to Spider-Man, he's like, hey, I really need your help, to go to other places. Parker's like, no, I helped you defeat the fire monster, and I'm out. So Fury's like, all right, cool. He leaves. and then Mysterio and Parker go to have a drink. Mysterio talks about how he wants to be a hero, like he wants to save people. He's like he's from a different Earth, so his Earth was destroyed, so he wants, he wants a new home. And then Peter ends up giving him the Tony Stark glasses because, according to Peter, he's not ready to be the next Iron Man, but Mysterio is, because Mysterio's an adult, he's a proven hero, he's somebody that, everybody could rally behind. Mysterio says okay, he takes the glasses, Peter leaves, goes back to Mary Jane, and goes back to his school. After that, it's revealed that Mysterio is actually the villain, and this was a ploy of his all along to get his hands on that Stark tech on those glasses. He was a former employee of Stark Industries who Tony fired, and he got together with other former Stark Industry employees. Like there's this one dude specifically who's in the very first Iron Man, the scientist that got yelled at, where the dude was like, Tony Stark built an arc reactor in a cave, and then the guy's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm not Tony Stark. That guy was there. There was another woman that was there. Like there was a whole team of like ex like Stark Industry employees that hated Tony, and they were glad he was dead. And then Mysterio, he said that he was the creator of the technology in Captain America Civil War, where he used to do the holographic image of himself as a younger person talking to his parents. Mysterio actually invented that. Tony, I guess he didn't pay him for it, or took his idea and like shitted on him. So he wants his revenge. So he's gonna take the Stark glasses and he's gonna use it to, destroy the world, because that's what all villains do. So, he wants to destroy the world, and then as the world's being destroyed, he's gonna swoop in his Mysterio costume, and he's gonna be the one to save the world from the big bad threat that he created, which was the plan, and Parker fell for the plan. Parker goes back to the hotel, he's talking to Mary Jane. Mary Jane's like, I know that you're Spider-Man. The two of them get into it over the fact that she found out he was Spider-Man. The tech that she had picked up ends up going off, and the hologram of the fire monster or like the wind monster, because there was a bunch of them. There was a fire monster, water monster, wind monster, etc. The hologram goes off, and then when Parker sees that, it's a hologram, and then like the elemental monsters weren't real, he puts two and two together. He realizes that Mysterio's the bad guy, and then he tricked him into giving him the glasses. He contacts Nick Fury. He goes to see Nick Fury, and then like when he goes to see Nick Fury, him and Fury end up fighting Mysterio. Mysterio at this point, because he has the glasses, he's linked into the entire Stark network. He uses like Stark drones to basically take over the city. It's this full-on battle where he has these drones everywhere. They're chasing the kids, and Mysterio wants to kill Peter's classmates because since Mary Jane found the tech, Mysterio knows that she has evidence that could be used against him, because if they trace the tech back to him, they'll know that he's the person that orchestrated this entire situation. So Peter then, so him and Nick Fury link up. Peter, he gets defeated by Mysterio. He ends up, like broken and beaten up. Nick Fury at this point doesn't know Mysterio is the bad guy, so he's still helping Mysterio. And there's supposed to be another monster that's on the way that Mysterio created. Spider-Man links up with Happy. Happy gives him the "Be Your Own Hero" kid speech. Peter makes a brand new Spider-Man suit. He goes after Mysterio. Huge battle, and then towards the end, Peter defeats Mysterio, and he gets locked up. So there was really nothing. There was nothing like crazy about it. Like there was no like secret twist or like hidden thing. It was just like they had a regular hero versus villain fight. Peter beat him. Mysterio got locked up. The end. The most interesting thing that happened was actually at the end of the movie, because when everything's done and all is forgiven and the bad guys are locked up and Spider-Man saves the day, everyone goes back home to the United States. Spider-Man and Mary Jane are a couple now. They went web slinging together in New York City, and then he stops in front of Madison Square Garden, and then when he lets Mary Jane down in front of MSG, a gigantic screen of the original J. Jonah Jameson from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. They got that actor back, which is cool, because he also played Commissioner Gordon in in Justice League. But they get the original Joe Jameson actor back. He's like, oh, that Spider-Man is a menace, and he actually has footage of him, quote unquote, killing Mysterio. So they show, so basically, like the scientist that was working with Mysterio, the guy from the first Iron Man movie, he had the footage of, he recorded the footage of Spider-Man's fight with Mysterio. He manipulated the footage and audio to make it seem like Spider-Man was the one who actually killed Mysterio. And then, that he's out for blood, and that Spider-Man has all these Stark drones that he's going to use to wreak havoc on the world. And then he says, he goes, and we also have confirmation that Spider-Man is really Peter Parker. And then Spider-Man's like, holy shit, and then the movie ends. Now, first of all, I like the ending. I like where it's headed, where it's like they're painting Spider-Man as like public enemy number one. However, they didn't have actual footage of Peter Parker in the Spider-Man costume. There was no video footage. It was basically a photograph of Peter Parker. And photographs can be manipulated. So unless they have like some serious hard evidence that he's wearing a Spider-Man costume, I don't see this, I don't see the whole Peter Parker being Spider-Man thing. I don't see that sticking long term. But in the short term, to have Spider-Man be public enemy, that's actually pretty cool. And I'm interested to see where they go with that one, because like a Spider-Man villain story could be pretty cool, where he has to try to clear his name now. Credits roll, and then we get to the end credit scene where Nick Fury and Maria Hill are in a black car driving, and then they touch their image inducers, and then not their image, well, they weren't image inducers, because basically Samuel Jackson, I call him Samuel Jackson, Maria Hill and Nick Fury were Skrulls. So I guess the next Captain Marvel movie will explain all this, and why Nick Fury's in space, why he's sending Skrulls to Earth to pretend to be him, to do stuff for him, and what the significance of it are. No Avengers popped up in the movie aside from, like, if you can count Nick Fury, aside from Nick Fury. So, and that was it. So, so as we leave it, Spider-Man is public enemy number one, and Nick Fury's in outer space. Overall, like I said, I thought it was a good movie. There was nothing special about it, but it was just a regular, good, basic film. I give it a 7 overall, because it was very enjoyable. It had a lot of good action scenes. And, they left you on a cliffhanger for something to look forward to. So I'm just looking forward. So we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I know we have the Black Widow movie coming out. There's supposed to be another Black Panther movie coming out, another Guardians movie coming out. So maybe all these things will tie in together. And the whole point of Nick Fury being in outer space will mean something long term for the Marvel Phase 4. So that was it. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, I'm out here on the beach. I'm about to go enjoy, chill, relax for a little bit.